breathing. It's what we do. It's what we've always done. And of course, we can talk about all the things that we engage in, all the other activities that we do. But we can accept and acknowledge that breathing is an extremely fundamental aspect to our being and expressing as we do. So we breathe. But is that the best way to think of it? That we're the ones doing the breathing? Might it not be more accurate to think that breathing is something which is being done to us? It's something which is occurring. The process of breathing is in itself intrinsic to the whole survival of this mechanism. And so it's something which occurs regardless of what we think about it. We can spend long periods of time without ever giving any attention to our breathing. In contrast, we can use our concentrated focus to become aware of the breath, and indeed to exert our willpower so as to control and regulate and modify it. And on such occasions, we are given the impression that we are in control of it, that the breath is ours. It's something that we're doing. But at the same time, and this is easily acknowledged, the breath is something which is doing itself. It's continuously taking place. It's what brings life into the body, sustains life, allows all the other processes of the organism to function, and so allows us to be in a position to engage in all the other things that we engage in. The breath is fundamental. And whether we're aware of it or not aware of it, it's taking place. And so this leaves us in an interesting place, in a space where we get to reflect on who are we in relation to our existence? Who are we? Because the breathing process is something which is occurring through us, to us, for us, so as to allow life to use this whole organism, this whole apparatus to facilitate its expression. By reflecting on the breath, by becoming aware of it, by regulating it and controlling it, we have the impression that we're all of a sudden in charge of the whole organism. But is that true? So the breath acts like a bridge, bringing together these two aspects of our experience, that which is life expressing through us and then life expressing as us. And to pull these two apart is extremely challenging on a conscious level, on a rational thinking level. But we can appreciate that there is some kind of interwoven relationship between our conscious awareness and the agency we have upon how we go about living our lives, and the fact that there's something occurring which is beyond our capacity to label, put into words, to condense and to simplify in terms which can be made sense of. It's something more subtle. We can note how it alters our physical, emotional, and mental state. If you've ever been involved in weight training or intensive exercise, it's often encouraged that when you're lifting the weight, that you use the explosive exhalation. When you lift the weight, and then slowly inhale, and then explosive energy to lift the weight. And all of this excites the physical organism so as to allow for release of chemicals and hormones which are going to facilitate the body's working in this way. In contrast, if we take a quick inhalation and a long, slow exhalation, we're releasing chemicals and hormones which contrast to those which are released when we're engaged in hyperactivity. So for us, in terms of how we go about experiencing our day-to-day lives, what do we want to be doing? Do we want to be breathing in a way like we do when we're in the gym lifting weights? Or do we want to be breathing in a way like we do when we're rested, well rested and relaxed? Well, in the long term, breathing in a manner which facilitates the release of hormones and chemicals which are related to our experiencing relaxation is more conducive to our overall health and longevity. Also, in terms of our mental state and our emotional state, breathing in a manner which is more relaxing helps to bring about a more relaxed state of mind. So when we're agitated, when we are restless, we can compare this to being in the gym or compare it to doing intensive activity where our inhalation might be long and slow and an explosive exhalation. But this type of breathing agitates the whole system, not just at a physical level, but also energetically in terms of the emotions we experience. If we're angry or frustrated or in a state which is agitated and restless, then this is the type of breathing that will occur. And the mental state, in consequence, will be agitated in a similar fashion. So, by changing our breathing, by inhaling, quick, fast inhalation, filling the lungs, exhaling slowly, long and slow, then we allow for the relaxing of the physical body. As a consequence, the emotional state and the mental state are one where we experience greater clarity, calm, peace. In order for us to do this, we have to become more alert to how we are breathing. We have to pay greater attention to it. This requires our focus. And as was mentioned at the beginning of this short video, by paying attention to our breathing, we are attuning ourselves to life as it enters into the body, sustains the body, and helps it to engage in the other aspects of life. We are attuning ourselves to the fundamental essence of what it means to be. Our paying attention to our breathing helps us to do this. It also facilitates our being able to modify and control our breath so that we're breathing not like we would when we're in the gym or when we're involved in intensive activity, or as we might when we are experiencing fits of anger or rage or upset, but rather so that we can control it in a way where we are subduing the whole system. We're facilitating its experiencing greater calm and as a consequence, greater clarity. It takes focus for us to be able to pay attention to the breathing process. By paying attention to the breathing process, as a consequence, we have the capacity to regulate so that our exhalation is long and slow. And in doing this, we facilitate a more stabilized state of mind, one which allows for greater clarity. And as a consequence of this, we naturally are able to pay greater attention to the breathing process. So it's a cycle. And all of this trains us to be more intuitively attuned to life as it expresses within us and through us and as us. Life and the process of living is often compared to being a dance, where we are moving in tune, in rhythm with the variables of life as they present themselves to us. We are positioning ourselves so as to allow things to move in and move out of our experience. There's a process of giving and taking. And this is a process which requires us to be able to let go when we need to let go, when we're being asked to let go. So this interdependent relationship is something that we can become more attuned to through our exercising our ability to attune ourselves to the breathing process. The breathing process requires us to be able to receive in the inhalation, but also to give back in the exhalation. And what might be said is, in our giving back, we pay particular attention to this. On the inhalation, we receive the blessing of love. On the exhalation, we show our gratitude and we give back to life. By focusing on the exhalation, we can appreciate that this dance that we are engaged in requires us to be able to facilitate the whole movement. It's not a case of us relying solely on being guided, being shown, being on the things that we can receive and what we can get, but also on how we can guide, on how we can show, on what we can give and what we can offer. So focus on the exhalation. The exhalation is your means to attune yourself to your physical expression, your emotional expression, and your mental expression. But it's also, more importantly, the bridge to helping you to understand how you are love and life is you.